And tonight, a new $20 million investment by the Bahamian and U.S. governments to help in the fight against drug trafficking. Find out exactly what the money is going towards.
Well, the police reporting a drop in the number of serious crimes. We've got the breakdown.
And a new system to help reduce the millions in losses at the local water corporation. We'll tell you more. The National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This segment of the news is brought to you by BTC, powered by Lime.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Opal Roach.
And I'm Kindino Knowles. As always, it's good to have you with us.
Well, the Southern Bahamas serves as a transit point for criminal activity from drug trafficking to human smuggling. But now surveillance efforts across those marine borders have been strengthened.
Altavis Munnings tells us more about the newest crime-fighting initiative, which is expected to put a drastic dent in the war on drugs and transnational crimes.
It took the United States government 5 years to construct this $20 million facility to facilitate their role in Operation Bahamas Turks and Caicos. Comprising 17,500 square feet of hangar and maintenance space, the new building replaces the old facility that sustained significant damage from Hurricane Ike in 2008. It's all a part of OPBAT's ultimate goal: stop the flow of drugs from South America and the Caribbean to the Bahamas, Turks and the Caicos Islands, and the United States.
In the last 6 months alone, our joint efforts have netted more than 3 tons of marijuana, 500 pounds of cocaine, and several $100,000 in cash. Successes such as these thwart what had been an otherwise easy access route. They keep drugs off our streets, and they increase the cost of doing business for drug smugglers and traffickers.
U.S. Coast Guard and Drug Enforcement Agency officials partner with Royal Bahamas Defense and Police Force officers to combat illegal drug trafficking in the Southern Bahamas. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage solidified the government's commitment to the tripartite initiative.
We can take pride in our BAT successes and in its ability to adapt to changing times. While we must adapt and thus change to successfully counteract these activities, what will not change is the enduring friendship between the Bahamas and the United States and the Turks and Caicos as symbolized by OPBAT.
Operation Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, better known as OPBAT, began in 1983 and has been headquartered here in Inagua since its inception. Prime Minister Perry Christie credits the hard work of the tripartite agreement between all territories for the program's success.
We have to urge our friends of the United States of America to recognize on a continuing and increasing basis that as we, each of our territories, dedicate resources to the protection of our country, we're doing so for the greater protection of all 3 of the territories.
During the construction phase of this new hangar, U.S. Coast Guard officials had to split their time between Providenciales, Turks and Caicos Islands, as well as right here in Matthewtown, Inagua. Now that construction on the $20 million hangar is complete, U.S. Coast Guard officials can now have one central location to organize their operation as well as store their valuable resources. Reporting from Matthewtown, Inagua, I'm Altavis Munnings for ZNS Network News.
All right, the search continues for the culprit responsible for the country's latest homicide. A young man was gunned down in the Yellow Elder Gardens community last evening. Police say he had just come outside of an eatery when tragedy struck.
What we know so far is that he had gone into the restaurant to purchase some food, and he came out with his food when sat in his car. Before he was able to take off, he was accosted by a lone male who produced a handgun and discharged several shots inside the vehicle, striking him multiple times to the head.
What kind of vehicle was it?
It's a Honda Accord.
You got like an age on the victim?
He appeared to be in his early 30s. Yeah.
You have anyone in custody?
Not as yet. We are looking for a young male. We're still trying to get some identification on him. All we know, he was wearing a white shirt, about 5 feet 6 inches tall. He ran across the street into the Yellow Elder community.
Well, crime is a big problem across the country. However, authorities say that serious crimes are down by 14%. In the murder category, we're told that the numbers fell by 24% compared to the same period last year. But despite this, there is a concern. Our engineer Noel Ferguson talked to the CDU chief, who says they are tackling crime head on.
The fight against the surgence of crime in the country is undoubtedly a difficult one for police and the government, but the head of the Central Detective Unit, Superintendent Paul Rowe, says although it may seem like criminals have the upper hand, this is not the case.
There's serious out there, Janae, but the reality is that these crimes over the last couple of days were sporadic. And the figures that we go by tell us that the crime is in fact down. And so these are not things that are happening every day, several times a day. But when they happen at this frequency over a short period of time, then it tends to cause a little bit of alarm. It causes concern for us as well.
These matters, Roll says, are mostly gang-related, and in order to solve these cases, he stressed that cooperation from the public is paramount.
There are instances where people are reluctant to come forward and give information, and you find that a lot of time in these gang warfare, because they've known one another and they are fighting, and so they have no interest in the established systems. They have no regard for these established systems, and so those type of person, you find it more difficult to get them. They don't want to talk to the police. I think we've heard about 3 or 4 shootings in the last couple of days. Now, in some of those instances, we know that some of them were gang related, but when you take the whole and you compare this year to last year, at this point last year, it was much higher, even with the homicides.
And despite the challenges, Roll says they have had several successes in closing a number of cases. They are, however, still concerned about the amount of armed robberies.
Armed robberies, but armed robbery is not, despite our best effort, we've had an insurgence of armed robberies recently, and so we're getting right now to go and meet to see how we can put heads together and try and solve some more of those. The shooting incidents, we've seen some success along there as well. The exact figure is, I don't have those, but we've closed a significant amount of those. And our sexual matters, where you have the USIs, those unlawful sexual intercourse matters, we have closed, I believe, about 80-90% of those. And the rapes, we didn't have too many, and let's keep it like that. And most of those, I think, we have cleared. Yeah, still.
Superintendent Roll is hoping that the public has not lost confidence in the capabilities of the police force. He's also appealing to persons that if you do have a problem, not to take matters into your own hands and to contact police as soon as possible. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
In news from the courts, prosecution witnesses were apparently not available today to testify in the Prince Hepburn murder trial, pushing Justice Indra Charles to adjourn the matter to Monday. Prosecutors allege that the accused killed 42-year-old charity worker Nellie Brown Cox 2 years ago because he suspected she was cheating. But Hepburn has denied those allegations. The Crown is expected to close its case early next week, following which the defense will present its side. Attorney Muriel DeCille represents Hepburn.
In our first look at weather, a hot and humid weekend is shaping up, but some cool weather's on the way. We'll tell you later in the newscast. But outside of our studios just now, we have a few clouds, temperatures 75 degrees, relative humidity 65%. Your winds out of the southeast just around 6 knots, barometric pressure 1,015.3 millibars. There's 29.98 inches, and it is steady. But stay tuned, temperatures around the farming, violence, travel, and boating forecast is still to come.
Well, coming up, find out how to stop money from going down the drain.
And a College of the Bahamas class hosts a forum on human resources. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the brought to you by Sun Oil Limited, fueling growth for people.